What's up, guys? How's it going? Adam Elmakai is here, and today we are going to go over my favorite person to travel with. Now, my favorite person to travel with is Diplo. Not because he's who he is, well, it is because who he is, but because of how he travels. I think that he does the best job, and I want to kind of show that to you through the photos I've taken with my time with him across the world and through some stories that I'll tell. And now I'm very specific when I tell my stories. I try to make sure I'm telling my own stories, not somebody else's. And there's a fine line to draw there when you work with an artist and everything they do. You're in their private life, you're living their life. So I make sure that these stories are my experiences with him and the things we kind of did together, not the things that I did while he was doing his own thing. So I'm not telling stories of who he went out to dinner with and stuff like that. I'm trying to tell the stories of, what my experience is photographing him and what it's like kind of on our journey. And I don't know. When you travel with Diplo, you work very closely with him. His real name is Wes, so maybe I'll refer to him like that through this blog. But I'm going to kind of follow along for you in the blog. If you want to go and look at it on your own, you can do that too. But it'll scroll kind of to the right here as I scroll through it on my computer, which is down here, and you'll just see what we're talking about. If you have any questions, of course, leave a comment. Other than that, here we go. So my favorite person to travel with is Diplo. When I travel with him, it's usually me, him, his tour manager, and his lighting designer. So it's usually like 4 of us. And then when he jumps up and scales to major laser, we gain a few more people. So these dates are scattered around, and you can kind of see that here. We got Charlotte, Atlanta, Rome, London, Paris, New Orleans, New York. And basically we did like the short run in the US for the Super Bowl. Then we did some UK, Europe stuff, and then went right over into Brazil for Carnival Festival, and then took a break. And then later we did some Miami stuff. And at the very end, we were in San Diego for 1 day. But that's just because he came to where I live. So there's nothing really to that. Anyway, start off with Atlanta. I don't really post everything in here. I just try to post my favorite images because we take a lot of photos. I give him about, 20 to 30 a day, and he'll use them for whatever he needs to use them for. And I just try to pick my favorites that, they're my favorite images because I like how they look and I like what they represent. So flew to Atlanta. Well, I flew to Charlotte and then eventually went to Atlanta, and this is his outfit for a night. We just took this in the hotel room. I saw this awesome wall with like a reflection on it. I was like, let's grab a photo in front of that. So this is that photo. It was a little bit darker than the original, but that coat is so cool. I need to work on my level of fashion. He's got a very good one. But that night, we did go out to eat. We did go to a dinner. And it's cool because with Diplo, he's like this almighty equalizer. He takes people from one world or another world, he just brings them together and has a dinner with them. And he always, the reason I like working with him so much is he always introduces me and builds me up as this person that I don't even think of myself as that cool, but he makes me sound so cool. And that's how he introduces me to people. He never puts me down. He just, I'm very much working with him, which is a relationship I've wanted my whole life. I want to work with artists, not for them. And that's what I respect so much about him, is that he works with you. And it's great. So here are at the dinner. I just took a picture of him. I do have photos of everybody at the dinner table are kind of shit. They just got the job done. But this is a photo of him, which I thought was cool through all of our wine and water glasses. And for that dinner, he brought some NFL players and a singer-songwriter, and everybody sat down, and everybody's just awesome to each other because he surrounds himself with such good people. And my job is just to photograph that and eat dinner. And yeah. Another thing I like about him is he's healthy. So we'll go out. We worked that night before we worked late. We went to a few different parties. And, my job is I basically just follow him around and photograph him. But the next day when he wakes up, I try to do everything he does. So we did some yoga. And it's great. I like how healthy he is, how he takes care of his body, how he eats well. Because that's how I want to live when I'm home. And usually on the road, I sacrifice all that when I'm with other artists. But with him, it actually drives me to be better. And that's why I like working with him. Because when I'm out on the road, I become healthier, I become more fit, and I become more athletic. And that's thanks to his lifestyle. I don't sleep as much as I wish we would, but it's great. That day we did that, drove around, got some food, and that night we played some more parties. This isn't the greatest photo, but it's Shaq, so I had to include it. I usually don't make exceptions for, okay, it's a photo with somebody, I got it. Like we saw a lot of different celebrities that night, took photos with all of them, and the photos are they're just snapshots, right? It's not like I put my artistic vision into this photo with this celebrity. It's just flash on the camera, take the photo. That's what it is. So he has something to post on Instagram. But it's Shaq, and I think Shaq's pretty cool, so I put it in there. Anyway, that was our time for the Super Bowl. We didn't actually go to the Super Bowl. We left the morning of, and each night we finished so late. It was really funny. Me and his LD would get back to our hotel, a lighting designer, so the guy who does all the lights of the show. So we get back to the hotel about 6 a.m. We'd get breakfast, and then we go to bed for a few hours before the next day. Well, the last day, we got back at like 7 a.m. We got breakfast, and then I immediately got in a car, went to the airport, and went home. And I was exhausted. So it's nice I got to do these little excursions with him for like a few days. Because if we did this constantly, I would eventually learn how to do it. But man, is it rough. I like kind of being his intermittent photographer, not his full-time guy. It's fun. So a little bit later, we went to Rome. I don't remember the dates are up here. I guess we can look real fast. So Atlanta, and then break for, I don't know, Paris. It's like 2 weeks or something. And we went to Rome. And we went to Rome for Bulgaria. I'm so bad at this stuff, but it's a jewelry company, and it kind of had this event. I got there a day early, so it was nice. My job, because got there a day early, I'm always working, is to go around and kind of find locations we can shoot at, things we can do. So I hung out with his assistant, and we went to these beautiful areas in Rome. We had a driver, so we got in, and he kind of took us around to these cool places in Rome. It's a beautiful city, especially at night. You get wine. It's nice out. You cruise around. It's everything that people explain it as, pretty much, in real life. So I really enjoyed that. The next day, Wes did get there, and we went out to dinner. This is him at dinner. I like this photo because like most people don't want photos of them where they don't look their best, and I think this is one of them where he doesn't look his best, but not in a bad way, just because it's kind of goofy, and I like the humanizing aspect of this, and I like that I was across from him at a dinner table and took this, and we're at this place in Rome. We got some noodles, and then that night we went to the Bulgaria event. We'd go there. It's basically he's DJing it, and there's a lot of different celebrities there that, some of them will come behind the booth. That's what this is. This is Bella Hadid, and I hope I got this stuff right. But so she comes back, hangs out with him. I grab a photo whenever I can, and I'm basically just always there to get a photo. That was that night. We met a bunch of other people, back to the hotel, hang out, and the next day we had to go to Rome, and we're taking a jet, like a private jet, so we just have to be at the runway at a certain time. So the morning we went to the Vatican area, and we took some photographs. This is my favorite one of the bunch. They're not my favorite photographs, but I have to shoot them, right? And it's really hard to get to a place and the sun's out. There's people everywhere, and you have to quick think, okay, now what am I going to create here? And it's hard. And we didn't sleep much, and you have to get there after getting ready for the day. All your gear has to be ready. Your photos from the night before have to be ready, and it's a lot to kind of juggle. So whenever there's time to work, I am working. I am constantly going. We get there. I liked his shoes. He got them the day before from a place, so we photographed that, and that's my shot. There's a few more, but this is my favorite one. After that, we went to the airplane. I like this photo because it's him. I don't remember if this when we got to London or when we were leaving and he was just walking away, but I think it was before we left. He's just walking away, peace sign, and I cropped it. Originally, it's much wider and there's people on each side, but I love how it's him doing like a peace sign in front of the plane. It just looks very carefree, and that's how he is. He's not stressing too much. We're just traveling, and I enjoy that aspect. I've probably said enjoy that aspect a few times, but that's just how I roll. Anyway, jet. We get on the jet, and for me, I have not taken very many jets. For him, it's quite normal, but we had a lot of food, so I took a picture of it. Not the best picture, but I gotta show the food, right? I gotta. And then this is his assistant sleeping, and I like how you can see the people in the front driving the plane, because you don't really get to do that on a normal plane, right? So Rome to London for the Brit Awards, and I didn't have to go to the Brit Awards. So beforehand, I was actually pretty sick. He had some meetings, so I took the time to kind of take a nap, take a shower, clean myself, get ready, try to be the best I can be for when I have to work. And he had this crazy room on top of the hotel we were at. It was massive. It was like 6 rooms, I swear, and it had this whole outdoor area. We photographed some photos of him in his outfit for the Brit Awards up there. And in this one, he actually climbed over, this diptych right here, actually climbed over a fence and stood on the edge of the building. And it made my heart go. It's really hard. Like, usually I just let the artists do what they want. But in this moment, I was like, dude, you're making me scared. Just come back. And he's quite adventurous. He's done he travels crazy, like very adventurous. But that was that night. I don't think we did anything that evening. He just did the Brit Awards, or that I can recall. The next day, we took the train that goes underneath the water all the way to Paris. So this is me sleeping on the train because ball guy problems. Oh my goodness, ball guy problems. The air vents from trains, man, they just bug me. So I put my hat over my head and I took a nap while I could. Once we got to Paris, We immediately got off the train, got into a car, and we went to the, oh my God, the Louvre. There's some words that I just can't get right. You ever just have words you can't get right? Another one is peripheral vision, with the eyes. Louvre. It's spelled one way, it's said another. I'm gonna always mess it up. You can make fun of me. I can take it. It's cool. We went there. He makes me laugh. This is him taking a selfie because that statue looks like it's taking a selfie, which I think is pretty funny. And I like the framing of the image. This is him looking at a painting. I don't know the name of the painting. If it's obviously it's famous. It's at this place, but don't remember the name of it. I did Photoshop out its name plaque and some other distractions, maybe a power outlet. I forget, but I wanted just him and the painting, and I love how big it is. Because the artists are usually seen as these big, powerful people, and they are, but at the same time, it's cool seeing him look up to something. I really like how that looks. And then goofing off in the Mona Lisa. I know it's usually pretty packed in there. We got lucky. It wasn't super packed, but I like this. He's kind of cheesing. He's like, yeah, I'm with her. She's super famous. That's cool. And then this is his tour manager and his assistant. They're brothers, actually, and they're pretty funny. So I got the picture of the picture of the picture. And then look at this spot. Look at this lighting in this room. It's beautiful. And this is the only photo I got. I wish I did like a full shoot in here, but it's this giant concrete wall. And that's a thing when you're like traveling with someone, to constantly be looking out for good lighting, to be like, hey, Wes, it's good spot here. We need to get some photos. And you have to reserve those situations for when it is very good, because they know you took them and then you have to turn them in. So you don't want to do it and then not have anything to show for it. And then they won't trust you in the future. So you got to build that trust. Went out that night, out in Paris, and we had a meeting. It was pretty funny. We went out to dinner. He got a baguette and took his shirt off. I don't know why, but I took photos of it. And we went to this meeting, right? We're at this restaurant, and he's meeting with a bunch of people that I don't know. But next to us, there's this table, and it's super loud. And for whatever reason, the French people that we were with did not like that. They're like, wow, they're very loud. That's rude. It turns out Lizzo was there, which is another artist who had just performed at the Brit Awards. And when we went outside, they were just yelling down like, hey, Wes, we saw you at the restaurant. And then she ended up coming to the show that night. So this is a photo of her dancing right outside the booth. And man, she has so much energy. She was just loving life. And it was cool. I was like, I gotta get some photos of this. So yeah, that's our trip there. A little bit later, we did a New Orleans, New York, Vegas run. And it was like super simple. We go to New Orleans. We went to a Kiss concert. We went out to eat. He played a benefit show. I went to New York the same day and went to New York the next day from New Orleans, and we did like some event, and then from there we took a jet to Vegas for a night show. And so this is before the jet and on the jet. I guess he had to play this guitar for something, so he was practicing it. But I just love this photograph that he's on his jet, sleeping, laying down, and he's playing this instrument. And there's a lot of issues with the jet that night, so we got on late, but did that. Went to Vegas, did a show there, photographed that, then went home. All right, cool. That's basically those 2 runs. Well, 3 runs we have. And then the last one here is Carnival Festival in Brazil, which is crazy. We did it last year. Scope the blog if you want. It's linked in here. Carnival Festival in Brazil is nuts. We went to Salvador this time. Last year we went to Rio. Went to Salvador. I actually got there a day early, so some of this is before he got there, because usually we need to be there ready to go for when he arrives so that everything can kind of click. And so he was doing something before in another country. He met us here, but we had this house, kind of this central hub, and the house is where we stay, where we eat, where we chill all day. And the point of that is that you have this hub so that it gets rid of a lot of the time it takes to kind of go get food and to do all these in-between things, because you don't have time. You're working so much and doing so many things. This is just a photo of like a cashew plant. So this is the plant, and the cashew nut is actually this little thing on top. And so I ate some of that, and it was cool. And this is the cook, the lady in charge of the house that made all the food. And oh my God, it was amazing. She was so sweet. She actually gave me her dress because one day I was like, I love your dress. It's beautiful. And she didn't speak English, so our translator had to change it. And I didn't speak her language, so both ways translator had to go. And she actually ended when we left. She gave me her dress. So I have it in my closet. I'm supposed to make pants out of it. And I can't wait to do that. Eventually I will do it. But she was just the biggest sweetheart ever. This is Walshy, another member of Major Lazer. So he came with us. This is him eating food at the house. And that night I went with, before Wes was there, I went with kind of like our local liaison, our translator, like a group of people. And We were with this lady named Bruna, who's a very well-known actress there. We went to a carnival festival in Brazil, in Salvador, which is a big deal. It's a street with, not exaggerating, hundreds of thousands of people crammed into it. Nothing like this exists in the US, and these giant semi-trucks with floats on them and bands performing, and it's crazy. So we were doing that the next day, and we kind of went a day early so we could see what it's about. And we went on the singer over there called Anita's float, and we kind of got to experience it from up there. So some of these videos down here are from the first day, and some of them are from the second day, but I kind of just put them all here so you could see what it was like. So they're not in chronological order, but I wasn't actually allowed to take photos when we walked. So how it worked when we walked, you can see there's like a girl here and there's some guys, the bigger guys, those are security guards. And when you get there, it's like you can't move around, like there's no space. So they would kind of form this flying V, and we would go in the middle of them, give them our phone, give them our bag, give them our camera. So I took this before we got in there on my phone. That's why it's not the greatest quality image, just to show our crew. And then they take all the valuables, and then you have nothing on you because people will rob you. And I'm just not used to that. You know, it's a little different in America. No hate, cool, that's the vibe there. But you have to listen to them and give them your stuff. And they push us through everywhere. And then we get on top of these vehicles, and I'll kind of show you what it looks like here. So you can see, like, I'm in the front of it now, and there's people, and you get in these vehicles, you walk up this little staircase in the side, you have to jump on while it's moving, and it's just packed inside, and then you go on the roof of it. And this is what it looks like from the back. And that's all the people following it, and it slowly goes down the street, and it takes 8 hours to go down the street. And you can see this is, so this is from the first day. There's like a band on there playing music, and oh my God, it was so cool. And then here's an example of kind of a full panorama view. So it kind of scrolls around, and you can see big truck, music, live music, it has speakers on the side, and then people just dancing everywhere. It's a beautiful culture, so many nice people. This is me trying to experience culture. You can see my dance moves. That's me, Eli, his assistant, and then this is Marina, who's kind of like the local guide, and this is Bruna, who's, like I said, she's a actress from there / maybe model as well. But they got in the way of my dance video. I'll allow it because I'll allow it. But that's what we were doing. And so then Wes got there the next day after experiencing it. It was cool. It was really, really fun. Got there the next day. This is him at the house in the pool. We went for a run. And again, these aren't exactly chronological, just things that kind of happen because I didn't use every photo, so I can't paint the full picture, but I used my favorites, my ones that, as a photographer, I like to say I took. They take a lot, but I don't actually use. You know, there's a lot of things I shoot, but I don't like. And I'm sure you can all relate to that. I probably won't like most of these things in like 6 months from now, but they're still good moments. So went for a run. Oh my God, I could not keep up. Wes is a nut. So there's him on the left doing like some break workout, and there's some people who I'm assuming they're homeless because they're sleeping under a overpass, but afterwards we talked to them. They were super nice. And then this, jump forward to that night, this is us on top of the float that Wes was DJing. So it was him and a few other artists, and we were on there for 8 hours going down the street, and it was so exhausting, so fun, such great images. This is our security group for that night. And then this is what it looked like from the back of the float. It was just insane. So many people and just dancing, having a good time together. The culture there is just, it's such a cool event. I'm so happy I got to experience it. This is a photo of me shooting it with my camera. And this is the side of the float. So people would like push on, they would like put their hands on it and dance on it. They would walk on it, climb on it. Like it is a free for all out there. And did some club shows as well. And that night it was, at the end of this, so we finished, and then we go inside to these venues. There's like venues that line the street, and you can play concerts in there. So we did that afterwards. And we were here for a few days. Like, I'm not really painting the full picture here, but we have a jet here because like one day we'll be in Salvador. The next day we'll be in Campinas, and we'll kind of bounce around and do shows and jet around and go to Rio and do all these different things. And it's just insane. It's like so dense. There is no downtime. We were up until 6 or 7 a.m. each day, up until sunrise, 100%. Come back, eat some food at the house, go to bed for a few hours, and then do it all again. So people sleep whenever is possible. That's what Eli and Luke are doing here. The one thing that kind of sucked is at the end of this event, this model we were with, I forget her name, but she had a photographer with him, and he was awesome, but he was partying a little bit. At the end, he got a drumstick from one of the artists, and hit me in the eye, and I've never been hit in the eye so bad. It instantly made me drop to the floor because I just couldn't. It was so painful, and my eye swelled up so big, and it's obviously a problem because I'm a photographer. So for that night, I like iced it and put some stuff on it, and I just like it was throbbing so bad. And the next day we had to go on a yacht, like had to, got to. I'm not mad about it, but it's really bright and it's a lot of things, and I had to kind of take it easy. It was really hard to shoot because my eye was so rocked. And I can jump down here to show, this is us on the boat. But we also went to Rio, and this is the hike we did. It's called, what is it called? It's called Dos Hermanos, which I think is like two brothers. And we walked from our hotel all the way to the top of it. And it's you go there, and then you get on the back of a motorcycle and you go to the top of this school area and walk behind this kind of soccer field, and then you hike up this thing, and it's, Wes runs straight up it, and I just try to keep up. I have like a small gear pack for it. Super hot, but you can see he's like a pretty healthy guy, so he always beats me. But once I get up there, get some photos, that's my job, and we go back down. And it's just, like I said, I love the way he travels because he really lives the culture. He really experiences the local area, and it does such a good job. So that is why it was so fun to kind of, I don't know, go do these things, because with other bands, they'll just stay in the hotel. And I don't blame them. There's 5 of them. It's a lot harder. With him, it's just him. If he says we're doing something, we're doing it. So that day we did the hike. Like I said, we took a boat out one day. It was beautiful. We took a boat, docked it somewhere, and then from there we like swam to this island. But I didn't swim to the island. I can't swim that well. I didn't trust myself, and my eye was rocked. But that's the picture of us kind of in front of Salvador. And yeah, that's the trip. I mean, I can't stress enough that it's just so crazy. These aren't as many images as I would like to show more, but I'm just not happy with all of them. So hopefully this gives you an idea of what it's like. And I really encourage you to kind of look up Brazil or Salvador Carnival and just to see it. It's just an amazing thing they have there every year. And the food there is great as well. Other thing, so last thing we did is Miami Music Week. I didn't really get many cool images here. It's mostly club shows, mostly just photographing him with people he hangs out with. But we did have some time on the beach where we're just hanging out, and I do like some of these portraits I got of him. My favorite is just a nice portrait. So these were shot with the Sony 35, which is like a really small lens. And yeah, a little bit later, he came through San Diego. I didn't surf, but he went surfing. So I just photographed him from up on a hill in the back of the house, right? And this is him with his friends surfing. And I love this photograph because honestly, my favorite thing to do is to get to know an artist more. And I like traveling with them and touring with them because I like seeing them at work. But even better is seeing them doing what they like to do for fun. So it's really an honor and something I love to kind of go surfing with him. I would love to be, as weird as it sounds, I'd love to go on like a family vacation with some of these people, or see them brushing their teeth, like just things like that. I want photos of every part of their life that normalize them. And not every artist lets you normalize them. They want to be this larger than life thing. So it's about kind of finding my line and finding the path to these people that I really connect with. And Wes is somebody I really respect. I really look up to, and I hope to work with him more. And this is him at the bottom here with the water, and I just kind of like this shot. I want to get it printed, but yeah. So that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed the blog. Go ahead and scope it. It's on my website, adamelmachias.com. If you have any questions, leave them below. Hoping to do this more in the future. And if you have any suggestions on how I can improve, tell me that too, because that would help me out a lot as well. Okay, cool. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you next time.